This week, the VA has had another major announcement, and this announcement is going into effect for February 17th, 2026. And that is the VA will stop reporting veterans with fiduciaries to the FBI's NICS database, which was violating the veterans' rights and their due process. And today we're going to break it down and see what changed, who is impacted, and if impacted, what you should do. So let's first look at what exactly does a fiduciary report. A VA-appointed fiduciary manages benefits for vets who can't handle their own finances. But until now, that automatically triggered a prohibited person flag to be placed in the FBI's background check system for veterans, even without a judge or mental health finding. The result of this was veterans losing their right to legally purchase or have ownership rights of a firearm. And this was all being done without proper due process. So what changed effective February 17th, 2026? The VA now recognizes that this long-standing practice was violating federal law, which was the Gun Control Act and the Veterans Constitutional Safeguards. The Gun Control Act of 1968 is a federal law that regulates the sale, possession, and transfer of firearms. It prohibits certain individuals, like those adjudicated as mentally incompetent or committed to mental institutions, from owning guns. And importantly, the law requires that such prohibitions be based on legal due process, typically a court-ordered or judicial finding, not just an administrative action. And the U.S. Constitution, particularly the 5th and the 14th Amendments, guarantees due process before depriving individuals of fundamental rights, such as gun ownership. This means a person must have the chance to defend themselves in court before losing those rights. So by ending automatic reporting of veterans with fiduciaries to the FBI's NICS database, the VA is ensuring that gun rights are not removed without proper legal process. Now, only veterans who are found by court or judge to be mentally incompetent or who have had a formal legal determination will be flagged as prohibited persons. This aligns VA's policy with both the Gun Control Act's requirements for judicial findings and constitutional guarantees for due process, restoring rights to veterans previously affected by administrative action alone. And like I said, this change is effective immediately as of February 17th, and the VA is working with the FBI now to remove past entries tied solely to fiduciary appointments. So who exactly is impacted by this change? Some are reporting that roughly 200,000 veterans could regain rights they lost under the old rule. And gun right groups like the NRA, for example, called it a long-sought victory, and veteran advocates have long supported this reform. But there are still some mental health advocates that express concern about suicide prevention and public safety. Now, let me say, I fully understand the suicidal concern, but I do take offense to the public safety concern. Just because a veteran needs help with their finances doesn't necessarily make them a menace to society, and to say otherwise is misled and ignorant at best. So if you are an impacted veteran, what are some of the things that you can do to mitigate this situation? First, contact your VA fiduciary office or the FBI NICS division and check your NICS status. Second, use NICS appeal process if your background checks are still failing. And third, you can consider applying for an FBI UPIN, which is a unique personal identification number, to streamline future checks. In addition to this, you can also speak to your accredited VSO or your accredited attorney and see what steps that they recommend you take. Supporters have argued for years that this policy was unconstitutional and going overboard. But critics would like to argue that the policy kept at-risk veterans from having gun access and might even impact suicide prevention. And now lawmakers are working to protect veterans' rights by proposing legislation that would cement this reform permanently and prevent future rollbacks as the political tide shifts back and forth as it always does in this country. So whether you agree or not, whether you're Republican or Democrat or wherever you fall, I could care less, this is a major win for due process and veterans' rights. And it serves to shake off any negative perception that may exist of one of our nation's most cherished resources, our American veterans. So please take a second and comment below what this change means for our impacted veterans and their communities. So if you found today's video of value, please take a second, subscribe to my channel, put a like on the video to send it out to more veterans. And as always, I appreciate you watching. I'm Mike, and I'll see you on the next episode.